VAD VILL, Episode 2321. The night Sweden lost its innocence. Cold open, low, ambient winter wind. Stockholm, February 28, 1986, 11:21 p.m. 2 gunshots. Not in a war zone, not in a dictatorship, not in a collapsing regime, but on Sveavägen, one of the safest streets in one of the safest countries in the world. And the man who falls to the pavement is not just anyone. It is the Prime Minister of Sweden, Olof Palme. For 40 years, Sweden has been asking what really happened. Tonight on VAD VILL, we walk back into the cold. Part 1. The most controversial man in Sweden. If Sweden in the 1980s was a Volvo, Olof Palme was the turbo engine bolted on top of it. Polite country, calm politics, neutral foreign policy. And then there was Palme. He criticized the United States during the Vietnam War, comparing bombings to historical atrocities. He condemned apartheid South Africa. He attacked nuclear arms. He irritated both Washington and Moscow, which is impressive if you think about it. To supporters, a moral compass. To critics, arrogant, self-righteous, dangerous. He received death threats, many, but this was Sweden. Assassinations were something that happened in history books, or in Dallas, not here. Part 2, no bodyguards, tonight, Friday, February 28th. Palme made a decision that still feels surreal. He dismissed his security detail for the evening, spontaneously. No protection, no escort, just a man and his wife going to the movies. His wife, Lisbeth Palme, later said the decision wasn't dramatic. It wasn't rebellious. It wasn't brave. It was normal, because that was Sweden. At around 8:30 p.m., the Palmes met their son outside the Grand Cinema in central Stockholm. The movie, Bröderna Mozart, a comedy. It's almost cruelly ironic. Inside the cinema, laughter. Outside, history waiting. Part 3. The street. The film ends shortly after 11:15 p.m. It's cold. Around freezing. The kind of cold that makes your breath visible and your shoulders tense. They decline a ride home. They walk south along Sveavägen. No one rushes them. No one crowds them. Several witnesses later recall seeing a man near the cinema. Another remembers someone trailing at a distance. But memory is a strange thing, especially after gunshots. At 23:21, the Palmes reach the corner of Sveavägen and Tunnelgatan. The killer closes in. Part 4. The shots. He approaches from behind. A .357 Magnum revolver. The first shot enters Olof Palme's back at point-blank range. It tears through his spine, severs major blood vessels, exits his chest. He collapses instantly. The second shot grazes Lisbeth's back. Witnesses describe a loud crack. Some think it's a car backfiring. Someone even continues walking for a few seconds. The gunman turns calmly, runs up, tunnel, Gatan, up a flight of stairs. Gone. No dramatic car chase. No screaming mob. Just disappearing footsteps in a quiet city. It is almost absurdly simple. Part 5. The silence. There's a strange psychological phenomenon. After violence, time stretches. People freeze. Someone kneels. Someone tries CPR. Someone runs to a PAYPHONE. An ambulance arrives quickly. Palme is rushed to Sabbatsberg Hospital at 06 on March 1st. He is pronounced dead Sweden wakes up to something. It has never experienced an assassination. Part 6. Sweden in shock. There are moments when a country loses something invisible. Security. Naivety. The belief that this doesn't happen. Here, government officials scramble. Police begin what will become the largest criminal investigation in Swedish history over the next decades. Interrogations, 130 plus false confessions. Entire warehouses of documents, countless conspiracy theories, and still no conviction. Part 7. The early mistakes. Now, here's where things get messy. The crime scene wasn't properly sealed. People walked through it. Witnesses left without being fully interviewed. Descriptions of the suspect varied wildly: tall, medium height, long coat, short coat, hat, no hat. It was as if Sweden had rehearsed for everything except this. And, to be fair, they hadn't. Part 8. Christer Peterson, a petty criminal with substance abuse issues. He somewhat resembled certain witness descriptions. In 1988, he was convicted largely based on Lisbeth Palm identifying him in a lineup. But there was a problem. No weapon, no forensic link, no solid motive. In 1989, the conviction was overturned. Peterson walked free. He later died in 2004. If he was the killer, he took the truth with him. If he wasn't, Sweden nearly convicted the wrong man for the murder of its prime minister. Not ideal. Part 9. The conspiracies. Now the story expands beyond Stockholm because Olof Palme had enemies. International enemies. Some theories claimed involvement by South African apartheid intelligence. Others pointed at Kurdish separatists. The PKK became a massive investigative focus for years. Right extremists inside Sweden, foreign intelligence agencies, rogue police officers. Each theory had fragments, motives, shadows, but no definitive proof. The deeper investigators dug, the murkier it became. It's like trying to solve a puzzle where half the pieces are rumors. Part X. The Skandia Mannen, 2020. 34 years after the murder, Sweden made an announcement. The likely suspect, prosecutors said, was Stig Engström, the Skandia man. Engström had worked in a nearby office building. He was present at the scene. He gave multiple interviews, positioning himself as a helpful witness. Investigators later argued his statements were inconsistent, that perhaps he inserted himself into the narrative to hide in plain sight. But again, no weapon, no DNA, no trial. Engström had died in 2000. The case was officially closed. For some, it felt like closure. For others, it felt like Sweden quietly exhaling and saying, "Let's move on." Part 11. The psychological impact. Murder did something profound. It cracked Sweden's self-image. The country that prided itself on neutrality and calm suddenly confronted political violence. Security for politicians changed forever. The idea of the accessible leader walking freely through the city, gone. And culturally, something else happened. Trust weakened. When investigations fail, conspiracy theories grow, and the Palme case became fertile ground. Part 12. The human course. Strip away politics. Strip away theory. What remains? A couple leaving a movie. A quiet street. A man holding his wife's arm. 2 shots. Lisbeth Palme, reportedly cradling her husband as he lay bleeding. in that moment. It wasn't geopolitics, it was shock and grief. Part 13. Why it still haunts 40 years later. The question isn't just who did it. It's, how could this happen here? The assassination of Olof Palme remains one of Europe's most haunting, unresolved political murders because it feels random, because it feels personal, because the killer vanished into a staircase and into history, and because somewhere in Sweden there are still people who believe the real story hasn't been fully told. Closing at 23:21 on February 28th, 2 gunshots echoed through Stockholm. The echoes are still bouncing off the walls of Swedish history. 40 years later, we are still listening. This has been VAD VILL. And the question remains, what do you believe happened that night?